Hey guys, what is up? TAILED here, and in this video I'm going to show you how to recreate this photo manipulation of a nine-tailed fox using Photoshop. And these are going to be the stock images that we're going to use, and I'm gonna put the links in the description down below. So let's get started. First, let's create a new document. So let's head over to File, let's click on New, and these are going to be the sizes here and a resolution of 72 pixels, and then just click Create. Okay, so now we have a new canvas here, and now it's time to drag the images. So first here is we have an image of a crow, and we're just gonna simply drag it over here and just try to match the canvas here, and we're only gonna be using the rock for this image. So we're going to create a layer mask. Let's use a brush tool, and let's use a black foreground for this one. So let's click on this to interchange between the foreground and background color, and let's head over here, and we're going to use a hard round brush for this one, and just increase the flow and the opacity to 100%, and then just simply erase this part over here of our crow image. There you go. And now just completely erase our crow. After that, let's right click on this layer, and let's choose rasterize layer. Let's press S or just select the clone stamp tool in the toolbar, and then let's sample this area over here. So just hold the Alt key and left click, and then just use that area to cover up this area. Let's do the same thing over here. Okay, so there you go. Now let's go back to our layer, right click and convert to smart object. Okay, so now it's time to drag our fox. So let's drop it over here, and let's make it bigger. There you go. So now it has a white background into it. So let's head over to select and choose subject. And now Photoshop is going to automatically create a selection around our fox image. Just wait for it to load. There you go. Okay, now let's head over to select and choose select and mask. We just have to refine these edges over here, so I'm going to choose an overlay for this one so that we can clearly see the edges of our fox. So let's choose refine edge brush tool, and let's refine the edges by just brushing over it. Okay, now after refining the edges, just simply click OK. And then let's press on Ctrl J to duplicate, right click here, and convert it to a smart object. And then just simply delete the original image. Okay, so now let's press Ctrl T on this one, and let's resize. And let's just try to match the angle of our fox body here to the angle of our rock. So we can use either puppet warp tool over here, or just use the warp icon. So just drag these points over here, just like this. Okay, so just to match the angle of our fox feet over here, let's just click on the move tool, and then let's head over to edit and choose puppet warp. So over here we just have to create some pins just over here, here and here, and maybe also here, just to lock our fox image in place. So you can just try to add more so that you can make sure that it doesn't move when you move this part over here. And then over here, just create two pins, so for the joint over here and for the toes. And then just drag this one over here to match the angle of our rock. And maybe create one more here. There you go. And maybe one more over here. Drag it upward. Okay, so just try to experiment with all those angles so that you can have the right angle for your fox. And then just click on the move tool and click apply to apply the transformation. Okay, so now let's drag our background. So we're going to use this one over here for the sky, Just drag and drop, and then let's put it down below our rock image. Press Ctrl T. So I'm going to have our light source on the upper left side of our canvas over here. So we're going to right click and choose flip horizontal, and then just try to match the size of our canvas just like this. There you go, and just click on the move tool. Okay, so let's rename this layers over here. So this is going to be our sky, this is going to be the rock, and this is our fox image. And to add some framing on this one, we're going to use this image over here. So I'm going to drag this one to a new canvas. There you go. And I'm only gonna be using this part, so let's use a quick selection tool, and then let's create a selection just around this area over here. There you go. And you can also use a lasso tool, so just press L and then just hold the Alt key, and it's gonna show this minus sign, and just create a selection just like this if you want to subtract a selection from the existing selection, and just like this. And now press Ctrl J to duplicate, right click and convert this one to a smart object, and just simply drag this one to our canvas. And then let's press on Ctrl T on this one. Let's just make this one bigger, adjust the angle a little bit. Okay, so I think this one will do. Just click on the move tool, and then we need to apply a blur filter on this one. So let's head over to filter, let's go to blur, add a Gaussian blur, and I'm gonna add 10 pixels for this one just to make a subtle blur, and then just click OK. And let's rename this one to our framing. And let's do the same thing for the background over here. So let's click on the sky image, and then let's head over to filter, let's go to blur, add a Gaussian blur, and 10 pixels will do for this one, and just click OK. And let's click on the move tool, and let's try to move our sky image over here. Okay, this one is perfect just until this cloud over here. Okay, so we're not really gonna be using this tail over here, so let's just remove it. So I'm gonna use a lasso tool on this one and just create a selection just like this, and just until this side of our fox image, just like this. There you go, and create a full selection on the fox. And then let's head over to our fox image. Let's go to select and choose select and mask again, and over here let's just use a refine edge brush tool. Okay, then you can also use a brush tool so that you can really be precise in creating that selection. There you go. And then whenever you are satisfied with it, just press on OK over here, press Ctrl J again, right click and convert it back to a smart object, and just delete the original one. Okay, so there you go. Now it's time to drag our fox tail. So we're going to use this one over here. So it's basically a dog tail. Just drag and drop, make it bigger, just put it over here, and then let's use a lasso tool. So just press L, and then let's create a selection just around the tail over here, just like this. And just try to create your selection inside so that you can fix the edges later by using a refine edge brush tool. Okay, so there you go. Now let's head over to select and choose select and mask. So we're just gonna do the same thing. Let's use a refine edge brush tool, and then just refine the edges. And if you want to remove something, just hold the Alt key and it's gonna show a minus sign, and just paint over those image or area that you don't want to include. There you go, and then just press OK. Then press Ctrl J to duplicate the selection, right click, convert to smart object, and just delete the original image. let's click on the move tool over here. So let's click on the tail and let's rename this one to tail. So let's just position this one over here. Okay, so I think this one will do. And then let's head over to filter and let's choose on liquify. So over here, we're just gonna try to liquify this part over here just by dragging this. So we're actually going to make this one bigger. There you go, just click OK. Okay, so now that we have our tail image over here, so now it's time to smudge those edges to perfectly blend to the background and to create a smoother effect. So let's just rasterize this layer over here and choose rasterize layer, and then let's use a smudge tool. So just click over here and select the smudge tool and just try to limit your strength to about 50% and just smudge the edges to create that fur effect. Okay, so now after you're satisfied with the result, you can just convert this one back to a smart object. And we're going to use the same technique in our fox image. So let's select our fox image over here. Let's rename this one to fox. Right click and choose rasterize layer. So over here, choose the smudge tool and just do the same thing to what you did to our tail. Okay, now that you've done all those smudging, you can just convert this one back to a smart object. Okay, so after all those smudging, you can see the result over here, and it just creates a smoother transition from our fox image to the background, and it creates a smoother effect. So now we can start duplicating our tail over here. So let's click on the tail image, and to simply duplicate this one, you can just hold the Alt key and drag this one to duplicate. And then just try to create your own position and just keep on duplicating until you completed all the 9 tails. And you can also press Ctrl T on this one and right click and flip this one horizontally to have some variation in your tail. Okay, so now we are done with duplicating all the tails. So this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So let's select all our tail layers. So just click on the uppermost tail over here and hold the shift key and click on the lowermost tail, and then press Ctrl G to group them, and let's rename this one to tails. Okay, so now it's time to put our light source, which is on the left side of our canvas. So let's click on the uppermost layer, let's create a new layer, and then let's press on B for the brush tool, or just select the brush tool in the toolbar, and let's select a white foreground for this one. Let's make our brush bigger. Let's select a soft round brush and just create some light effect on the left side. So you can also lower the flow and then just paint some light over here. And it's time to add some highlights to our fox image. So let's select our fox image over here. Let's go to the adjustment layer icon. Let's choose on levels. Let's create a clipping mask so that it only affects the image directly down below our adjustment layer. And let's drag this one to the left side to make it brighter. And then let's just close this one. And then press Ctrl I to invert the layer mask. Let's use a brush tool. And we're going to use a white foreground for this one. So just click this icon over here. Let's make our brush smaller. And let's paint some highlights on this side of our fox. Let's just try to lower the flow to about 20%. So I think this one will do, 21% will do, and just create some highlights on the left side of our fox. And if you want to remove something, just hit X on your keyboard to make our foreground color to black, and just simply erase those areas that you don't need. Okay, so I think we need to add more brightness into this adjustment layer. So let's double click on this one. And let's drag this slider to the right side to make it whiter. There you go. And let's go back to the layer mask. Let's use a brush tool again. And let's increase, or let's add some more highlights to this side here. There you go. And also in this area. And then we could also use a smudge tool and just smudge these highlights over here to make it realistic. So when you smudge these areas, try to make some thinner strokes just like this, and make your brush smaller so that it looks like of a fur when you smudge those areas just like this. Okay, so after you're satisfied with the result of all those smudging, we need to add another adjustment layer. So let's go to adjustment layer icon. This time let's use your saturation. Let's create a clipping mask, and let's drag the saturation to the left side so that our fox over here is going to blend to the overall background. Okay, so I think negative 35 will do for this one. And then just close this one. Okay, so I think negative 35 will do. And then I'm just gonna go back here to our highlights. I'm gonna use a brush tool and a white foreground. And I'm just gonna add some more lights over here and maybe just decrease the flow. Okay, just on the forehead of our fox. And on his nose over here. Okay, now let's blend this part of our fox over here to the color of our tail. So let's add some levels to this one. So let's head over to adjustment layer icon. Let's choose levels. And then let's just drag this one to the right side to make it whiter. I think this one will do. And then let's press on Ctrl I to invert the layer mask. Let's use a brush tool. And with a white foreground, just limit your flow to about I think 20%. And then just add some white on this area just to blend with our tails over here. And then after that, let's double click on this layer on this side, and it's gonna pop up this dialog box, and in the underlying layer, let's hold the Alt key and just drag this slider over here to split the slider and just remove those white in those dark areas. There you go. I think 100 will do, and then just press OK. Okay, so now I think we need to add some shadows into this one. So let's add another adjustment layer. So let's click this uppermost adjustment layer. Let's add some levels onto this one. Let's create a clipping mask, and let's drag this slider to the left side to make it darker. And I think 170 will do. Let's press on Ctrl I to invert the layer mask and use a brush tool and just add some shadows in this side of our fox. Maybe just lower the flow to about 10% and just add some subtle shadow just right below and on this side of our fox. And just press X to invert the foreground and background color, and use a black foreground if you want to erase some parts of the adjustment layer or the layer mask. Okay, there you go. Now it's time to add some shadows to our tail. So let's just click on this one to hide all those tail layers. And in this group, let's add levels adjustment layer. Let's create a clipping mask. And let's decrease the brightness over here to I think 170 will do. Then let's press on Ctrl I to invert the layer mask. Let's use a brush tool once again, and let's add some shadows on those areas that are behind the light source. And if you want to make it darker, just double click on this adjustment layer. Let's drag this one to the left side to make it darker. Okay, so I think 130 will do for this one. So this is the before and this one is the after. And now let's head over to our rock image over here. Okay, so I think we need to group this fox over here and all its adjustment layers just to make our layer panel here a little bit neat. So let's click on the fox image here and hold the shift key and select the uppermost adjustment layer, and it's also gonna select those layers in between. Press Ctrl G to group them, and let's rename this one to fox. Okay, so let's head over to our rock image over here. Let's press on Ctrl T. Let's use the warp icon and let's just try to drag this part here. There you go, just until the feet of our fox over here matches the ground of our rock, and then just click on the move tool. Okay, so now let's add an adjustment layer to the rock. So let's add levels adjustment layer. Let's create a clipping mask, and to darken the shadow, let's drag this one to the right side. Okay, so I think 30 will do for this one. Let's use a brush tool, and since this one here is facing the light source, we need to erase this darkness over here. So let's use a black foreground and let's erase this layer over here. And now it's time to add a new layer, and we're gonna rename this one to fox shadow. And then we're gonna use a brush tool, and let's use a soft round brush for this one and a black foreground. And then let's just try to drag these points over here to change the perspective of our brush. And then just limit your flow to about 10% and just make some shadows right down below our fox image. Okay, so let's create a clipping mask over here. So just hold the Alt key and click in between these layers to create a clipping mask. So basically this part here should be darker. And now let's make the bigger shadow. So let's just increase the brush size. And let's drag these points a little bit thinner. And let's add some more shadow. Okay, now after that, just to blend our fox feet over here, let's click on the fox image here. And then let's go to the fox image. Let's create a layer mask. Let's use a brush tool. And with a black foreground, and let's just change this one back to normal. Let's just increase this fringes over here so that it perfectly blends with the shadow on the ground. Okay, so after that, let's click on the move tool and let's hide this group over here. And then let's click on this framing image or the rock. And then let's add a level adjustment layer. Let's create a clipping mask and let's darken the shadow once again. So drag this one to the right side. Okay, so I think 55 will do for this one. And once again, let's use a brush tool with a black foreground. And let's erase this part over here. Okay, so now let's duplicate this one. So just hold the Alt key and drag this one to the top corner. There you go. Let's press Ctrl T on this one. And we're just gonna add some rocks behind our fox image. So we're going to make this one smaller. And to make this one taller, so just hold the Shift key and drag this point over here. Just like this. And we're gonna put this one behind our rock image. So let's drag this one over here. And put this one just above our sky image. There you go. Let's press on Ctrl T once again. So basically what this does is that it adds some more perspective to the overall photo manipulation. And then to blend it to the background, let's just decrease the opacity over here. Okay, so I think 60% will do. And let's just change the angle of this one. And let's press Ctrl J to duplicate it once again. Let's press on Ctrl T, right click. And we're gonna flip this one horizontally and just add one more over here. So this one is going to be farther away, so let's decrease the opacity more. Okay, so I think 40% will do, and let's duplicate one more time. Let's add some more over here. And let's decrease the opacity more. Let's press on Ctrl T and just drag this one over here. Okay, so I think we need to decrease this one to about 20%. There you go. And let's just click on this rock image over here, or the framing. Let's select on the framing layer. And let's hold the Control key and just drag this one to the left side. Okay, so I think this one will do, just to give some breathing space in this area over here. And after that, let's go to our uppermost layer. Let's add a new layer. And let's rename this one to Fog. So over here, we're gonna use a brush tool, and I'm gonna put the link in the description down below for these brushes. So we're gonna use 107 for this one, and we're going to make it smaller, and just rotate the angle of our brush over here. Okay, so I think this one will do. So basically what we're gonna do here is we're gonna sample this color over here. So just hold the Alt key and click on this area to sample that color, and just add some smoke effect on this area. And just increase your flow to about I think 15% will do for this one. And just try to add some smoke and maybe change the angle and just play around until you get or you're satisfied with the smoke effect in this area. You can also sample some dark colors since this one is behind the rock. We can make this one darker. We can also use a darker color over here. And let's use a white color on this area over here since it is closer to the light source. Okay, so after you're done with it, you can also decrease the opacity over here if you want to. So just play around with the slider until you're satisfied with the result. Okay, so I think 80% will do for this one. Okay, now I think it's time to add a camera raw filter on our photo manipulation. So let's click on the uppermost layer. Let's hold Ctrl Alt Shift E, right click, and convert this one to a smart object. And then let's head over to filter, add a camera raw filter. So over here, I'm just gonna make some slight changes just to make our photo manipulation or all the images blend more together. Okay, so I'm just gonna remove some shadows over here. So I think 21 will do. And just to make it darker, so we're going to drag this black slider over here. Okay, so I think 56 will do for this one. And for the texture, I'm gonna add it about... Okay, so I think I'm gonna add 60 for the texture over here. And a clarity also. Okay, so I think 35 will do. And let's head over to color grading over here. And I'm gonna give it a bluish tone. So let's drag the mid-tones to the blue one. So just slightly over here and also the shadows. And for our highlights, there you go. So basically there's no right or wrong here. Just try to experiment on the settings over here that will best suit your desired result. And then whenever you're satisfied, just hit OK. Okay, so we are almost done with our photo manipulation. We just have to add some more overlays just to make our photo manipulation a whole lot better and interesting. So now let's create a new layer and let's use a brush tool. Let's use a white foreground and let's use a soft round brush for this one and a flow of about I think 90% will do. And let's just try to add some particles over here on these areas. And just play around with the brush size over here. So you can also sample this dark color over here and make some particles on this area so that it adds some atmospheric depth to our photo manipulation. You can also just lower the flow so that it blends more to the background. Okay, so now it's time to add the final touch of our photo manipulation. So we're gonna add this fire particles over here and change the blending mode to screen. There you go. And let's add a level adjustment layer. Let's create a clipping mask and let's drag this one to the right side to remove completely the background. Okay, so I think 50 will do. And then let's click on the fire layer over here. Let's press Ctrl T. Okay, so now let's use the warp icon and let's drag this one all the way up top just to add some more fire particles on this area. Drag this one below. There you go. And let's click on the move tool So I'm not gonna be needing this part over here, so let's create a layer mask. Let's use a brush tool, and with a black foreground, let's erase these areas that we don't need. And you can also just warp it again, so just remember to unlink this chain over here, press Ctrl T, and just warp this image again. There you go. And let's just try to decrease the overall particles over here, so let's erase these parts. Let's play around with the levels over here. And to finish up our photo manipulation, I'm going to add another filter. So let's head over to adjustment layer icon. Let's choose color lookup, and then just don't create a clipping mask so that it affects all the images down below. And you can just experiment on all the filters over here. Just try to select the best filter for you, and for this time I'm gonna use fall colors on this one, just to give it a sunny look or that bright look on the colors of our photo manipulation. And after taking some time and making some final adjustments, this is the final result. So basically I just tweaked some small adjustments from here and there. Just like this rock over here, I changed its facing direction and the shadow of our fox and added some more fog. And notice that our rock framing was just bright, so added a level adjustment layer and made it darker. Basically, the whole tutorial is just to give you an idea on how to create your own photo manipulation just like this. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to follow all the steps, because maybe you're better on your own style. So this is Jealous, and I hope you have learned something from this tutorial, and if you do, just don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to my YouTube channel and click that bell icon to get notified whenever I upload a new content. Thank you so much for watching, and see you on my next video.